Every fall, over 80 million hanging baskets are thrown away. Dead annuals fuel a $1.2 billion industry that depends on you replacing them year after year. But 9 specific perennials, from Creeping Jenny, hardy down to Zone 3, to the evergreen Vinca minor illumination, can cascade from that same basket for 5 or more consecutive seasons. So why does almost no one use them? A single spring trip to the garden center can set the cycle in motion, one that empties wallets and fills landfills. The United States hanging basket market hovers around $1.2 billion each year, driven by the expectation that baskets bursting with annuals are simply temporary. By autumn, an estimated 80 million of these containers end up tossed, their withered contents destined for compost or trash. For many, this is just how gardening works. But for Martha, a retired teacher in Ohio, the numbers started to add up. Each May, she spent nearly $120 refreshing her porch with petunias, calabrachoa, and trailing lobelia, plants that would fade by first frost, leaving her with nothing but empty hooks and another receipt for next spring. Multiply Martha's routine by millions of households, and the reality becomes clear. The industry's success depends on gardeners like her buying, discarding, and repeating. Meanwhile, the cycle creates mountains of organic waste and plastic pots, with little to show for the investment when winter arrives. The pattern persists, not because alternatives are missing, but because the perennial option remains overlooked. The financial drain is matched only by the environmental cost, a double hit that few gardeners stop to question. If baskets could be planted once and returned for years, both waste and spending would plummet. The solution is not a secret. It's growing in plain sight. 9 perennial plants, each with a story, a survival strategy, and a promise of return, can turn a disposable habit into a lasting investment. Their names, habits, and histories are about to change how you think about hanging baskets. Creeping Jenny aurea transforms a plain basket into a living waterfall. Its golden leaves spill over the rim, trailing up to 2 feet by midsummer. Unlike annuals that vanish with the first cold snap, this perennial roots wherever its stems touch soil, creating a dense, luminous curtain that returns each spring. Hardy from USDA, zones 3 through 9, Creeping Jenny shrugs off frost and bounces back after harsh winters. In milder climates, it keeps its color nearly year-round, holding on to that chartreuse glow even as other plants fade. The small yellow blooms arrive in early summer, adding a subtle brightness that blends with the foliage instead of overshadowing it. For gardeners who want a basket that overflows with life but demands little in return, Creeping Jenny sets the standard for resilience and visual impact. Some porches never see a full day of sun or face winters too cold for most trailing plants. That is where ivy geranium steps in as the veranda's quiet defender. Known botanically as Pelargonium peltatum, this classic spiller thrives in baskets through summer, producing waves of pink, magenta, or white blooms for months on end. Its thick, waxy leaves store water, helping the plant withstand dry spells and the stress of wind-exposed baskets. When autumn chills arrive in cooler zones, ivy geranium is not finished. It can be trimmed back and moved indoors, surviving in a cool, bright room with only occasional watering. With basic care, a single plant can return for years, sparing gardeners the annual scramble for replacements. Whether basking in the sun or sheltering on a shaded porch, these 2 perennials offer gardeners a choice: a golden cascade that conquers the elements outdoors, or a steadfast bloomer that adapts and endures season after season. Trailing Verbena Homestead Purple brings a new energy to hanging baskets, one that thrives on heat, survives dry spells, and refuses to fade out when summer turns relentless. This perennial is made for gardeners who want color that doesn't quit. Homestead Purple delivers a steady stream of deep violet blooms from late spring until the first frost, often outlasting annuals that surrender by midsummer. Its stems tumble over basket edges, reaching up to 2 feet in a single season, creating a lush, trailing effect that keeps baskets looking full and vibrant. Unlike plants that wilt at the first sign of drought, Verbena Homestead Purple is built for tough conditions. Its roots dig deep, and its leaves hold their own during long stretches without rain, making it a reliable choice for sunny porches and exposed balconies. A light feed with a balanced fertilizer at the start of summer is all it takes to keep the blooms coming. No weekly rituals or complicated care schedules required. The rest of the season, this verbena is content with occasional water and a bit of space to sprawl. Now, if you've ever wished for a basket that could hold its color through the dog days of July, this is the perennial to try. In fact, it's worth thinking about your own setup, what it would mean to have baskets that come back year after year with less work and less waste. If you're ready to break the cycle of buying and tossing, consider giving Homestead Purple a spot in your next basket. The parade of perennials doesn't end here. There are even more options ahead, each with their own story and strategy for lasting beauty. Dianthus firewitch brings more than color to a hanging basket. Its magenta blooms arrive in late spring and linger for weeks, releasing a clove-like fragrance that drifts on summer air. This perennial, named Perennial Plant of the Year in 2006, forms a low-spreading mat that can drape a full foot over the basket's edge. Deadheading spent flowers encourages new waves of bloom, letting scent and color return again and again. In mild climates, firewitch even keeps its blue-green foliage through winter, holding a place in the basket when flowers fade. Heuchera, often called coral bells, is the quiet mainstay that anchors a perennial basket year-round. With over 50 species native to North American cliffs and woodlands, Heuchera has adapted to thrive in containers exposed to wind and sun. Cultivars like caramel and obsidian hold their vivid orange or deep purple leaves through all seasons in zones 6 to 9, unlike annual fillers that disappear at the first frost. Heuchera's evergreen foliage provides structure and texture even when snow dusts the rim. These perennials prove that baskets can offer more than fleeting color. They can engage the senses, persist through seasons, and become lasting features of a porch or patio. Sedum and ajuga step in where other plants fail, tackling the toughest basket conditions with almost no extra effort. Sedum angelina and lemon coral are built for drought and neglect, thriving in baskets that dry out fast or hang in full sun. Their succulent leaves act as living water tanks, holding moisture even when the soil goes dry. A gritty potting mix, rich in sand and perlite, lets their roots breathe and prevents rot, while deep, infrequent watering encourages strong growth. These sedums spill over basket rims in a cascade of needle-like gold or lime foliage, trailing up to 18 inches by midsummer. Hardy down to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, they shrug off cold snaps that would finish most annuals. In deep shade, Ajuga reptans' burgundy glow forms a dense, colorful carpet that spreads by short runners called stolons. Its tricolor leaves, blushed with burgundy, cream, and green, fill bare spots where sun lovers will not grow. Ajuga tolerates dry, root-bound baskets and even poor soil, but a yearly trim of wandering stolons keeps it tidy and contained. In spring, spikes of blue flowers draw pollinators, bringing life to shady corners. Together, sedum and ajuga prove that baskets do not have to be pampered to look lush all season. They solve problems, drought, deep shade, or neglect, without demanding constant attention, making them the quiet workhorses of the perennial lineup. Creeping phlox, known botanically as Phlox subulata, delivers the year's earliest spectacle for hanging baskets. By mid-April, its dense mats erupt into a carpet of pink, lavender, or white blooms, a show that outpaces annuals by weeks. In rock gardens across North America, phlox has thrived for generations, prized for its ability to spill over stone walls and container rims alike. Once established, it shrugs off late frosts, but young plants need protection from spring cold snaps to ensure their famous burst. Phlox subulata's roots dig deep, anchoring baskets through heat and drought, and its trailing stems can cascade a foot or more, creating a living veil that returns for over a decade without division. As the seasons turn, Vinca minor illumination takes over, offering a different kind of value. This variegated periwinkle, introduced to North America by Jesuit missionaries in the 1700s, weaves golden-margined leaves through baskets all year. Unlike annuals that fade with the first frost, Vinca's evergreen foliage persists through winter, even in Zone 4. Over 3 years, growers report up to 40% less water use and a third less fertilizer compared to typical annual baskets. When Martha swapped her last annuals for a mix of phlox and vinca, her porch basket burst into color each spring and never looked empty again. The savings added up, not just in dollars, but in time and effort. With these two perennials, the argument is sealed. Baskets don't have to be disposable. They can return, bigger and fuller, season after season. Today, perennials like Creeping Jenny, Homestead Purple Verbena, and Vinca Minor Illumination offer more than beauty. They deliver lasting color, drought and frost resilience, and evergreen texture year after year. As annuals fill landfills, these historic cultivars prove lasting value is not just possible, it is practical. What will you plant next?